everyone, and welcome to our live stream this morning. Today, we are here with Dr. Casey Coffey, who is a doctor in our infection control service. And she is going to tell us why we can say boo to the flu by getting our flu shot. Welcome, Dr. Coffey. And we are all looking forward to hearing about why it's important to get our flu shot. So, why is it important we get a flu shot?
Well, thanks so much, Rosalia. So happy to be here to speak with everyone. I like to say 'tis the season, so welcome to the flu and cold season. It's that time of year when everyone should be preparing their shoulders to get their annual flu vaccines. So one of the common things that I speak with my patients about is getting an annual flu vaccine. Why do we need to get a new flu vaccine every year? Well, actually, there are different variations of flu that circulate from year to year. And scientists, in leading up to the flu season, try to guess, based on evidence from other flu seasons, which is going to be the dominant flu that is circulating at the time of the flu season. And so they make their vaccines targeting those flu strains, which are most likely to cause disease. Now, it's important to get your flu vaccine because, as my background shows, a flu vaccine can take your flu from wild to mild. And what that means is that flu can be a very severe disease, especially in patients and people who are elderly, so 65 and older, or in the very young. And what we're trying to do is protect the people that we care about, as well as ourselves, making sure that if we do get the flu, that we don't have to end up in the hospital. And many people who get the flu vaccine won't even get the flu at all.
So, because the flu is endemic now, where we get these vaccines every year, it seems like people's attitudes toward the flu has kind of become a little casual and a little cavalier. So, can you explain how not being protected can impact someone? How many people perish as a result of flu every year?
Yeah, thank you. That's a great question. And even though we have come to live with the flu varies from year to year, and some years are more severe than others. There's no way to predict which year that's going to be. And thousands of people end up hospitalized and even dying from influenza infections every year. So once again, getting a simple flu shot, which only takes a few minutes, can prevent the severity of disease that would result in those really bad outcomes. So a lot of people, they say it's not worth it to me to go to try and find a place to get my flu vaccine, although the VA covers the flu vaccine and we have walk-in clinics, as well as many community pharmacies can just give you a flu vaccine. Many of them are free of charge. Some people don't like the aching in the arm that you get afterwards, and some people even get kind of more fatigued and fever-like symptoms. But if you think about just one day of feeling uncomfortable to prevent the risk of being hospitalized or having a loved one hospitalized, to me, those benefits outweigh the risks.
So, and also, can you talk about the importance of getting the flu along with other vaccines, especially the COVID vaccine, which is now becoming endemic, where people need to get a COVID every year? And then there's the other respiratory vaccines like pneumonia and RSV. I think it's RSV. I want to say RSVP for some reason.
Just RSV.
Yeah,
No, that's great.
Yeah. So can you talk about the importance of why those vaccines are safeguarding us?
Absolutely. So no longer are we just worried about influenza. We don't say flu season anymore. We say respiratory virus season or cold and flu season, because we have these other viruses that are circulating. So COVID is one that we have all gotten very familiar with since the pandemic, and the world has really changed since the time of the pandemic. We do have effective vaccines that are available, and similar to the flu vaccine, scientists are changing the formulation of the COVID vaccines to match the current circulating strains. So if you think about the way that we get an updated flu shot every year, that's kind of the mindset that we're getting into with COVID. A lot of people say to me, well, doc, I've had XYZ number of boosters. And unfortunately, at this point in time, we've kind of stopped counting everything that happened before, and we just focus on the COVID viruses that are circulating now, and making sure that you have the most up-to-date vaccine. So CDC has approved and FDA has approved the 2024-2025 COVID vaccine. So if you haven't gotten your COVID vaccine this season, then it's time to go ahead and get another shot.
Can you get those shots together? Like, can
Absolutely.
you get a flu and a COVID vaccine at the same time?
I'm here to living proof to tell you that you can. Yesterday I had my flu in my right arm and my COVID in my left arm, and I'm a little sore today, but otherwise feeling pretty good.
That's great to hear. And what about RSV? That seems to be gaining in, I don't want to say gaining in popularity, but gaining in people needing it, especially older people or babies. I don't really know too much about RSV, so maybe you could spill the tea on why that respiratory vaccine is important.
Happy to do that. So up until last year, there was no vaccine for RSV. RSV stands for respiratory syncytial virus, and it's a common cold type of virus, but it impacts very young, so infants below the age of 1 year, and the elderly. And in those patient populations can lead to more severe disease, with little babies ending up on ventilators or respirators, and as well as our older populations, especially patients who have comorbidities, so other lung diseases or heart diseases that can put you at risk for more severe disease. So it's a wonderful thing that we now have a vaccine to prevent, again, against the progression from this cold type virus progressing to a more severe disease. So the RSV vaccine is recommended for pregnant women who are going into their third trimester leading up to the RSV season, because then the mother will produce antibodies that can protect their baby once they're born going into the RSV season, and for elderly adults. So if you're over the age of 75, you qualify, you should get your RSV vaccine. If you're 60 and over, but you have any of those comorbidities, those other heart or lung diseases, or if you have any immune compromise, those are reasons that you should talk to your doctor about getting the RSV vaccine. It can be administered at the same time as your COVID and your flu shots if you are feeling up to getting all 3 shots at once, or you can stagger them so that you don't feel the implications of getting 3 vaccines at the same time. It's kind of a personal choice.
So we want veterans to know what in general, what is the takeaway that you want veterans who are watching this to walk away with?
The time is now. 'Tis the season. We are at the time when we are seeing RSV and influenza and COVID starting to circulate at the same time. And this can really put a damper on your holidays. We see most peaks around Thanksgiving and Christmas. So if you celebrate those holidays, don't let these viruses get in the way of your celebration. Go ahead and make sure that you're up to date on your flu, your COVID, and talk to your doctor about RSV.
Thank you so much for spilling the tea on the respiratory season of flu. We're going to say boo to the flu here by encouraging everyone to get their flu. Veterans can come to the VA to get the flu, but they also can go to the community pharmacies, and I think they have to show their veteran ID, and they'll be able to get their flu and other shots for free. So thank you, Dr. Coffey, for telling us all about the flu. Goodbye, everyone, and thanks for joining us.